plans for the American Nightmare are pretty much set in motion in WWE. Triple H retires from in-ring competition and is the current state of WrestleMania doomed for failure. I guess we got something to talk about. Let's roll that mother effing intro.
Free fall as I die through the kaleidoscope in my mind. No rope up to climb. Gotta remind myself that I'm fine. Mama, I don't really want to.
Yeah, Dizzle got something to say. I mean, let's go ahead and talk about it. I mean, I've already talked about my feelings on the whole Cody Rhodes going to WWE thing. I mean, it's probably the new worst kept secret that he's going there. I mean, the rumors were out there, then it got confirmed, and then it got officially confirmed. So, yeah, my deal with that whole thing was, is it going to matter? When it's all said and done, is it really going to make a difference? Now, I do believe Cody Rhodes can be fantastic in WWE as a main eventer. That's the key thing. As a main eventer, he's been a mid-card already. He's been in the undercard. You know, he's past that. You know, he's gone out, branched on his own, and now he's able to kind of write his own check, for lack of a better term. Now, we've gotten hint as far as the plans that WWE wants to do with Cody Rhodes, as far as certain officials. They want the AEW Cody Rhodes. They want the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes in WWE, and I think that's a fantastic thing. Now, their reasoning behind it, I don't necessarily agree with, because it seems like they really just want that hey, he's from AEW rub, because it seems like they want to portray the image that somebody came over from the other side to WWE. You know, pretty much them finally doing what has been done to them by every other company. Now, as fun as that might be for them, is it really just an agenda-filled thing where they're just trying to get that so that way they can talk about it for like the few weeks and months after it happens, and then just kind of push Cody off to the side? I think that's a bad move. You know, I think if you're going to pay Cody Rhodes all this money, then you need to make it worth everybody's while. You know, you pretty much have a get out of jail free card with this situation, because putting Cody Rhodes in a position in WWE where he is a top tier main eventer is only going to benefit you, the ratings, the fans, etc., etc. He's going to be able to do something for you that, ironically enough, you haven't been able to do for yourself. And that's make things feel fresh, make things feel different. Give him, I don't want to say 100% of creative control, but give him something that's going to allow him to make things feel fresh, feel new, feel worth watching on WWE TV, because this is one of the main reasons why I have pretty much just neglected WWE television, you know, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, anything associated with it. I mean, I'll watch the pay-per-views, obviously, but, you know, and I'll get the clip notes from, you know, other reviewers. But even when I watch people review the show and they go over and I get the clip notes here and there, it's not something that I'm interested in. You know, I'm more so saying, well, I'm glad I missed that. I'm glad I didn't waste my time watching 3 hours of that. But it is what it is. Now, if that's the plan that they're going to go with, and they're going to have the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes in WWE, perfectly fine. Do that. But do it without the agenda-filled narrative of, we want him to come over so that way we can talk about how, you know, the guy came from the other side and came back to WWE. You know, trying to paint a narrative that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's complete BS. So just do it for the fans. Do it to benefit the fans. Do it to benefit the ratings. Do it to benefit the company as a whole. Do it to benefit Cody Rhodes. You know, you pretty much did it with the Drew McIntyre. You know, he got his second chance. You know, he became a WWE champion, and he was able to move forward with that and benefit from that. Now, John Morrison, not so much. And that's That's the two the two extremes we're going to roll with here. Give Cody Rhodes that Drew McIntyre-esque rub and allow him to be the face of the company, or the face of Raw, the face of SmackDown. Hell, if he wants to be the face of NXT, do that too. But allow him to flourish. Allow him to do, hell, what he wanted to do before he left. Allow him to be himself. Allow him to be his creative self. Do that for the fans. And I guarantee you it'll pay off in the end. Guaranteed. Now, it is stated that he's supposed to go against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. I don't think that has been confirmed completely. I mean, I think it's all speculation at this point until we see it. You know, they've all but told us that he's going to be at WrestleMania, because they've done little nuggets here and said certain things here and key phrases there. And, you know, it seems like that's where they're going with that. Now, will it be a good match? Hell yeah. I believe it. You know, it's something that I would enjoy watching. But my main question is, I mean, all this aside, him going there, him having a match at WrestleMania, what happens after? What are the plans after? Where do they plan to slot Cody Rhodes in after the hype dies down and everything's all said and done? You know, you have an opportunity, especially since we're going from WrestleMania into the Raw after WrestleMania. You have a chance to pretty much reconstruct Monday Night Raw, if that's where he's going, especially if he's taking on Seth Rollins. I would assume that that's where he's going, because the star power is needed there, with Roman Reigns being on SmackDown, you know, Brock Lesnar pretty much being on SmackDown as well, you know, outside of him being, you know, the WWE champion over on Raw. So if this is the case, then, I mean, I guess I would say treat him how you treated Drew McIntyre. Don't necessarily shoot him straight to the top, but I would say kind of take it by seeing where the wind blows, if you will. Gauge the fans, like really gauge the fans. Don't do a Vince McMahon gauge where it's like, nope, I don't like that. No, see what the fans resonate with on the show. See how they take to Cody Rhodes. See how the hype builds up, and see if it maintains, and see if Cody Rhodes can maintain star power in the main event scene. You know, test him with those certain waters. Give him certain matches. Help him build his way to that main event scene where he's competing for either a WWE or Universal Championship. Hell, if you got to put him, if you have to. No, I can't say that, because it'll feel too repetitive in a way if you slot him in the mid-card scene just for the title sake, because I mean, he pretty much did that with the TNT title with the TNT title on AEW. So I think at this point you may have to give him a few marquee matches and then slot him in that main event scene in order for him to compete for the for a world championship. Hell, if you have to, have him win Money in the Bank. That way, you don't have to automatically slot him in. He can win that, and he can do something with that. I mean, briefcase fits in right with nice business suit and tie Cody. Cody knows how to wear a suit. Let him rock his suit. Let him do his thing. But I'm still very tentative on this whole thing. Do I like Cody Rhodes? Yes. Do I think this is a good move for him? Yes. I think he still had things to do in AEW. I think he would have benefited from that. But, you know, he felt this was his time to leave. And so, you know, you can't fault a man for that. You know, you go where the checks take you. So if that's the case, good luck to him. Hopefully it works out for him. I'm praying that he gets his WWE resurgence and he gets that main event shine as well as that main event glory. Now, from there, Triple H had an interview with Stephen A. Smith where he pretty much went over his previous health issues with his heart condition and everything that happened then and why he was gone. And, they talked about why he was silent, why he didn't talk about things. I'm not going to go over the whole thing. I'm really just going to talk about, his retirement for the most part. But before I get into that, he did get emotional. That was a key thing, is that as he was talking about, how he wanted to be there for his family, and he started talking about, how his daughters would take that if they since they didn't understand what was going on, and they see their dad as such a strong person. He started to get emotional about that, and that's it's very much understandable, and I think most of that, outside of the serious health concern that would be looming over his head if he did decide to go back into the ring or have one more match, I think a big factor as to why, outside of the health concerns, why he decided to retire is because of him wanting to be there for his family. And I think that it makes complete sense, and I don't think any of us assumed that he was going to go back into the ring or have another run with a title, or even have a long run with in-ring competition. He may have had one or two more matches, under his belt, not saying for like his body couldn't handle it, but I think just as far as a decision for him, I don't think he had anything else to do. I think he was pretty much done. He wrestled everybody that there was to wrestle, and outside of potentially another dream match with The Rock, which I was definitely hoping for. But yeah, when he said he was retired for in-ring competition, I was not surprised, and I would assume that nobody else was surprised either. Nobody should have been, because he was so set in his role as COO and as the head man in charge at NXT Black and Gold. It seemed to fit. It seemed like he was the one that was slotted to take over, Raw, SmackDown, take over Vince's job, to an extent. I'm pretty sure Steph would have been at the helm, but I'm pretty sure he would have been running operations as far as the day-to-day side. But I think it's a shame as far as on the NXT side that was taken away from him. And, at first I assumed that what was going to happen was, they were going to restructure NXT, and then he was pretty much going to move over to the main roster and helm one of those shows, which would have made logistical sense, because you have Bruce Pritchard basically running over both Raw and SmackDown, and now, of course, partially NXT 2.0. I don't know what's going to happen with Triple H at this point, because he didn't really state what he was going to do. I think he's just taking time off at this point, to reevaluate, get his endurance back up to par, to where he's comfortable with, so that way he can actually start working on a day-to-day basis. But as far as we as fans are concerned, I would hope that he is slotted in a position that's going to, one, benefit him, as well as benefit the roster and the respective shows that they are on, or whatever he's going to be over. Personally, I would like to see him helm both Raw and SmackDown, because I think as far as for a transition, we would start being we would get to the point where we would start seeing fresh blood on TV. We would start seeing new faces, and we would start to see fresh matchups, as opposed to seeing the same monotonous thing that's keeping people away from viewing anything related to WWE TV. Because it's no surprise when Triple H was helming the Black and Gold brand, that was the must-see TV aspect of WWE, because Raw and SmackDown were just horrible. Outside of, I believe it was the 2016 SmackDown, where they had Dean Ambrose, Miz, Dolph Ziggler, where basically they had what they would have as the quote-unquote B team of WWE roster, and they made one hell of a show. It was fantastic. I loved it. That's the last time SmackDown was good, as consistent across the board with everybody. But yeah, I'm glad he's okay. He did specify that it seemed to be genetic, because I think he said his father and grandfather had heart conditions as well. So hopefully it doesn't hinder him in any way. Hopefully he's able to not necessarily keep up the same pace, because he was working like a madman, but I would say to be able to maintain his position and able to do what he needs to do, and continue to put out the quality of work that he was putting in, with the superstars, with the up and coming talent, with these shows. So hopefully we're able to get even if it's just a piece of it. I would love to see that, because WWE desperately needs Paul Levesque's mind and work ethic. But regardless of that, happy he's okay. That's the main thing. He's okay. He's I can't give a percentage because I don't fucking know, but I'm just glad that he's up and running. He's moving again and getting ready to get back into it. So yeah. Now WrestleMania. Myself and the rest of T.A.G were supposed to go to WrestleMania. But I have to ask if it's even worth it. Hell, is it even worth watching it? That's the main thing. Is it even worth watching it? Yeah, there's a few matches here and there. There's promising storylines going into it, but not across the board. And it could be because I have a bias and I was spoiled growing up with WrestleManias, because a lot of us of around my age, we grew up around a time where pay-per-views alone meant something. WrestleMania was, it was the big dog. It was, the Super Bowl of professional wrestling. It was the showcase of the Immortals. They set this whole thing. They built it up to be just that massive deal. And it was the place to be. People had that shit on their bucket list, to the point to where we get now. And it's like, there doesn't seem to be a clear path to what's going on, in any way, shape, or form. You get to these pay-per-views, they'll have certain storylines here and there, but it's almost like a hodgepodge of things they just threw together at the last minute to say, hey, we got to fill this card out, go out there and have a match. And it's not fair. For one, it's not fair to the fans who tune in to watch, the shows every week. But then you get into the aspect of people who actually pay their money for a subscription, now for subscription. But at the time, you had to pay about 50, 60, 70 bucks to even watch these pay-per-views before. But now that there's a network, it almost seems like because the network is there, that they can just do half-ass shit. And it's not fair for the fans who defend WWE. And I'm talking about the fans who nonsensically defend WWE, like the WWE stands who will defend it no matter what. It's not fair to them, because they are going to bat for you and your company against everybody else like me who will talk shit about WWE and everything that it's doing wrong. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to the people that pay the subscription. It's not fair to the people who pay tickets to go to, one, live events, two, to pay tickets to go to a Raw, to a SmackDown, to an NXT, to pay expensive ass tickets, to pay for expensive ass tickets to go to a WrestleMania. Not to mention, if it's not in their city or their country for that matter, they have to go and fly out. So they got to pay for tickets. They got to pay for room and board. They have to pay extra expenses just to go to your show because they want to be there. And for you as a company to basically say, nah, we'll give them whatever. These things, when people pay their money, it's meant for them to have that experience. They want to be there. They don't want to come out of it thinking, you know what, I could have just stayed home for this. Or, I wasted all this money and all we got was something that, we could have honestly seen at home and got the same level of excitement. It's if people are going to take the effort to go there, it would make sense for you to put the effort in to make sure that you do like you used to do before in the WWE, WWF of old, where you would have, you know, a set plan in mind for who you want to see as champion, and things may change along the way. That's understandable, but at least you had a vision of where you wanted to go, and you had your key players involved. You know, we're at the point now where it's like anybody could become a champion, yeah, but is it really necessary? Is it worth it to put a title on somebody? Is it worth it to give somebody a push that, you know, where it wouldn't make sense? You know, we see, I mean, think about it now. You put in so much effort and so much time into Brock and Roman, and we've seen this in the main event enough times. We've seen this same type of matchup outside of WrestleMania enough times. We've seen this feud enough times. And that's what you're closing the show with. So for me, I have to ask, I mean, with this current state of WrestleMania, with it seeming lazy and lackadaisical, are the future WrestleManias doomed for failure as well? You know, and just like I asked at the bottom, has WrestleMania completely fallen from grace? Now, I don't think it's a lost cause. I think it has fallen very far, yes. But I think it's still salvageable. But it's at a point now where I would say it's almost on life support, because I mean, especially when you think about the ticket sales decreasing drastically, and you think about the viewership decreasing drastically, you know, and the amount of pushback where everybody is starting to say the same thing about the shows on a week-to-week basis. You know, everybody's not going to say the same thing about you and it not be true. There's going to be some validity to what everybody else is saying. So there's only so much people are going to deal with and accept, to the point to where they just check out and say, you know what, why even bother? Why even bother? Because we're going to keep getting the same thing. You know, right now, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that have a WWE Stockholm syndrome, where they're sitting there and they're like, you know what, it might be okay. Let me just go ahead and turn it on now. You know, we might get something good. I'm one of the people that's pretty much checked out. You know, I'll keep tabs on it, but at the end of the day, you know, I don't see any value, because I grew up in a time where WWE/WWF was must-see TV, where every week I'd go there, I'd be pleasantly surprised both with that and WCW Monday Nitro, and I would be left with some type of cliffhanger that had me chomping at the bit to watch a WCW Thunder on Thursday, or a SmackDown. Well, when it came on Thursday, when it came on Friday, it came on Thursday, Friday, and Tuesday at certain points during its inception. You know, I want better for WrestleMania, because I want to be able to go to WrestleMania and have that level of excitement and anticipation that's going to have me giddy, you know, like the fan that I used to be growing up watching WWE. So I can't even definitively say that it can be saved, you know, at this point. You know, what I can say is that I hope that it does. You know, I hope that whatever plans they have in motion after WrestleMania helps the company and benefits it as well as the fans for the better, to the point to where we're able to look forward to a Monday, to look forward to a Wednesday, to look forward to a Friday, and be able to say, you know what, WWE is killing it in the best way. But that's pretty much my talking points on that. Thanks for sitting with the discussion. This is a Dizzle moment, but we had something to talk about. We talked about it. That is what it is. So you see everything crawling on the crawl. You know where to find myself as well as the other members of T.A.G. So whether you loved it, hate it, don't forget to rate it, thumbs up, thumbs down. Leave all your comments, concerns, and questions down below. Hit the notification bell for all the updates of everything that we decide to drop here on The Average Gamers. But most importantly, hit that tag, that mother effing subscribe button. But until you see this handsome face and hear this immaculate voice, I bid you all adieu. And until next time, you beautiful, beautiful mother effers, tag the fucketh